Given they've been favourites, I think, in every game in this tournament that they've played so far, and haven't really responded in that swashbuckling style that a lot of favourites you would hope would do and go out and destroy the opposition or just play with a flair. When they come up against a better side, and I think if it is the Dutch who beat Turkey, that'll probably be the best team they've played. And then regardless, it's France or Spain if they reach the final, they will be the favourites against England. Gareth Southgate's not going to change much, is he, when he plays better teams?
No, he has an idea of how he wants the game to be played, and regardless of the opposition, he sticks to it. I think that's the frustration when they play so-called lesser teams, that there's not this swashbuckling attitude about it to go out and not just dominate the opposition, but play exciting, fast attacking football. That's just not his mantra. And so when they're average against average teams, it's harder to beat the better teams. And the better teams, when they get their nose ahead, will shut England out. Again, we keep going back to the Southgate teams of old in previous tournaments. When they've got themselves in positions, then it hasn't happened because they don't seem to take that next step.
Harry Kane, discuss. Because he's a brilliant player and he's had a brilliant season with Bayern Munich, but he doesn't get that involved in this setup. And that was a change of system today with Foden and Bellingham more central in behind him. And I think the closest anyone came to Harry Kane was Gareth Southgate just before he got substituted. He didn't really have the impact. Is that on him or is that on the system?
I absolutely don't think it's on him at all. I would argue that any centre forward on the planet would struggle to shine the way this England team has played thus far in the tournament. I was talking earlier about how they were getting the ball in wide areas with more time and space, and that means that you're able to get your head up and either pick somebody out or have the time to put it in a dangerous area. As a centre forward, the wide man would prefer to pick you out, but if not, he puts it in the dangerous area, and then it's your job to get on the end of it. That never happened once today for Harry Kane. Not once did anybody try and pick him out. And not once that I can remember did anybody ever just get their head up and whip a ball into a dangerous area, hoping that he could get on the end of it, or it would fall for somebody else, or even one of the Swiss would stick it in their own net. So with that kind of service, I'm not so sure how Harry Kane's supposed to shine. And again, with the formation, the 3-4-3, if Harry Kane's dropping back in, there is enough bodies there. You've got Phil Foden in there, who's dropping in there looking to get on it. So I honestly can't really, in all honesty, point the finger at Harry Kane. I think there's no question that he must have re-injured his back because, 10 minutes before the end of a penalty shootout, you want all your penalty takers. But then you got to say, England, historically, all this, Southgate himself missed a penalty in a major competition. People like David Batty missed. Chris Waddle missed, who doesn't take penalties. Stuart Pearce missed, who kind of took penalties. You look at this England side, it's full of guys that take penalty kicks for the club. Saka, penalty taker. Ivan Toney, penalty taker. Trent Alexander-Arnold, penalty taker. Bellingham, penalty taker. Who have I missed? I've missed one out. But they're all penalty takers. So, and I think in the shootout, you saw the difference. Cole Palmer, thank you. You saw the difference in the penalty kicks. I mean, there's no question that a lot of these Swiss players had never taken penalties before. I mean, Akanji takes the first one. He's all over the shop. He loses his balance after he strikes the ball. It just smacks of somebody who's not quite sure in that position really what they're all about, which is the complete opposite, as we saw in the England penalties. Every single one of them in total control, never panicked, knew exactly what they wanted to do. They waited for the goalkeeper to move. They put it on the other side. I mean, it was an absolute clinic. Every single one of them was never in doubt. And so, right now, for sure, the old adage of England losing penalty shootouts just shouldn't happen.
Well, they've won 3 of the last 4, and all of those players showed bottle. They all scored. You showed bottle in 1984 in the Champions League final, the European Cup final back then, to take the first penalty. Now, it didn't work out for you personally, but it worked out for you as a team. What do you need to have, as well as ability, to be able to say, I'll take one, Gaffer?
You know, it's a real simple, straightforward answer. It's repetition. It's being in that position time after time after time, so that when all of a sudden the spotlight is on, is it different? Yes, it is. But is it completely different? No, it's not. And so that's kind of what I'm talking about with the Swiss players. They may have taken a penalty, and it may have been in training once. It may have been last week when they were practicing. But you look at the England players, every single one of them have taken countless penalty kicks. And so when it comes to the big stage, when the spotlight's on, the uncertainty's not there. The confidence that you're going to put the ball in the back of the net there. The clear head is there because you've been in that position before. All of the things that you can quite rightly say that clearly the Swiss players weren't in, maybe apart from Shaqiri. But you know what? The problem is you've got to take 5, not just 1 or maybe 2. And that was the difference in this penalty shootout.
A 2-part question for you before we go to break, and it's regarding the semi-final. Mark Gahey returns after suspension. So does he go straight back into the team instead of Ezri Konsa? And if so, do they stick with the 3 at the back? And the second part of that question, if you're Gareth Southgate, how do you involve Harry Kane more in this upcoming semi-final?
Well, I'll be pretty surprised if... Or will it be? See, that's the problem. See, it seems harsh on Gahey because he's had a good tournament. But I think that Konsa has more experience of playing in a back 3. And so that is the decision that Southgate has to make. And actually, I don't think there's a wrong decision because, as I said, Gahey's been great and Konsa's more used to playing in that 3. The problem is Gareth Southgate. Does he do what he seems to do when it comes down to these decisions? And he seems, for me anyway, to go with the loyalty aspect when he should be going with, at the end of the day, what's best for the team. And I guess if it was me,
you're undecided here, aren't you?
Well, I am, because it's tough on Gahey. But at the end of the day, you haven't played the 3 before. I don't think Gahey plays 3 with Palace. He hasn't played it with England, but Konsa does. He's played it with his team. He's also played it in this game and looked comfortable. So I think it would be a tough decision. It would be harsh on Gahey, but I would play Konsa. And 100%. The second part is the easiest answer. He cannot go back to what he was doing previously. Well, because there's a reason why he changed. Because it just quite blatantly didn't work what they were doing. So it would make no sense. And even as safe as he can be, I don't see any way he goes back to playing 4. And if he does, then he's asking for trouble. He's asking
100%. 100%. And Harry Kane, how are you involving him more in this semi?
Well, I think every centre forward benefits from a more fluid team behind them. And I think today there was a little bit of fluidity. Certainly there was more fluidity than we've seen in this tournament. And that can only be good for Harry Kane or whoever plays centre forward, regardless of whether it's Harry Kane. So, yeah, I mean, a centre forward is always going to rely on what's going on behind them, and certainly what's going on in the wide areas. So yeah.
Maybe in 1984, you shouldn't have looked at the ball a bit like Ivan Toney today. I don't know how he does that, by the way. I mean, that's something else. His penalty record's frightening, and he still finds the back of the net. What's that all about?
If I knew that, I would have scored my penalty.